Thank God.
Alrighty then, we're going to be kicking off our best of 3 tonight with a PvP, and it's going to begin on 2,000, that's the only word I can read off the map, but it is 2,000 atmospheres, I remember that much. Pardon me, in the top right hand corner map, spawning all the way in the top right hand corner, you of course have a red Protoss player coming out from the land of China, representing Invictus Gaming. He is MacSed.
And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of 2,000 atmospheres LE, we have the Chinese Protoss player himself. He is purple, representing his brand new team, Dragon Phoenix Gaming, DPG. It is Jieshi.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Light, but wasn't Jieshi on the Starved Camel team?
He was.
He was.
He was on SSLT.
So, yeah, that's what the acronym was. I don't remember the full. I don't remember the full name, but
you remember the logo. You remember the logo.
Yeah. Who wouldn't? It's memorable.
Yeah, for those wondering, a brand new Chinese team was formed with a bunch of like returning retired players, and Jieshi was a part of that. I feel like a pretty integral part of that. And then he just got picked up.
I think he might have actually been the captain.
Yeah, he was. He was the captain as well. I
vaguely remember that.
It's a little bit awkward for him to actually get signed by a proper team. So yeah, kind of weird how that works out.
Yeah, well, worked out pretty well for him, I do suppose. Dragon Phoenix Gaming. They definitely have a lot of support behind them, you know, coming down for all of their players. Hence why they were able to sign some big names like Rogue and Dark and whatnot.
Yeah. I mean, DPG is considered to be probably the best team out there. I'm pretty sure they're WTL champions, at least one season. So yeah, they have monsters on their team.
Yeah, for the longest time it was. The story was kind of DPG against Team NV, but yeah, unfortunately for Team NV, DPG ended up staying, or at least continuing as strong for a little bit longer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. But you know what? Now, you know, they've picked up another player. They're supporting their own region, the Chinese scene, so it's great to see. And we'll see how that kind of really pans out here. So far, no major kind of differences. Both players did open up with double Stalker. So nothing too crazy, nothing too out of the norm until now.
Yeah, massive divergent coming out here from both of our players. Jieshi grabbing that earlier Stargate, MacSed being very safe with 2 sentries.
Yeah, and this kind of makes sense for what he's going for. He's going for a much faster natural expansion here, so much more economic opener for MacSed, and to try and keep him safe, he does open up with those double, or does follow up with double sentry. It will help him scout. It will also give him a little bit of that defensive advantage as well with those force fields.
But I gotta tell you, like, force fields don't matter against air units.
They're gonna be like, force fields, they don't shoot up. They
well, they don't shoot.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, good. You're not wrong, mate. You're not wrong. But that's why the scout is so important right now. We should see a hallucination shortly here for Jieshi to figure out, for MacSed to figure out what the hell Jieshi is doing. And it's on MacSed to try and deny this. Unfortunately, Stalkers were a little bit out of position, so the Haluk will get across the map.
Yeah, we'll be able to get a pretty nice scout on top of everything. Oracle will come out regardless, but there should be enough time, since we're on 2k atmospheres, for MacSed to throw in a couple more Stalkers. Nice pickoff here, winning a slight micro battle.
Yeah, every single unit matters so much, especially in the early game. Meanwhile, we do have that scout. Now MacSed knows that it was a Stargate opener. I'm not entirely sure if he saw the Oracle as it came out, but regardless, he should be preparing for said Oracle, and already we have units in position in the main and the natural.
Yeah, this Oracle, at least on its own, shouldn't get too much done, and Jieshi has already transitioned out of it. He already got scouted. I love the Haluk being thrown down here by Jieshi, but MacSed is not falling for it, mate.
Oh my god, the big brain plays with this one is real! And unfortunately, despite the mind games, Jieshi will not get in with his Oracle.
And I gotta tell you, like, despite the openings that we've had, Jieshi, it feels like he's hitting all of his checkpoints a lot quicker. You know, he's ahead in workers, he's getting blink faster, he's gonna get +1 faster. All of this despite opening up with Stargate.
Yeah, pretty interesting, and I do think a lot of this does come down to the fact that MacSed has arguably overreacted. If you look at the units tab, MacSed invested a lot of his gas into Stalkers. He has 8 Stalkers in total, and I don't blame him. You know, he really wanted to secure his bases and make sure he didn't lose anything to the Oracle, but because of that, that did impact his overall tech, his overall kind of production, and it does mean that Jieshi is able to take a bit of a lead there.
Yeah, even the base lead coming out here. That third base is already about halfway done. MacSed, he's gonna have to really start to switch gears right now. I will say that he has a larger army, and he has, I believe, better production capabilities. He has the, again, actually even on gateways for now, but yeah, MacSed can't really outgrow Jieshi from here. He has to deal some damage across the map.
Yeah, but I feel like I should emphasize what you just said, is that, man, his army is massive. He's got double the Stalker count right now. Like, double the firepower, essentially, so this is going to hit hard. MacSed is going to be looking to deny this third base. Jieshi can maybe defend with stasis traps, but again, the stasis wards are set up here at the natural, not at the third.
And this is exactly where MacSed himself is setting up. He's not going to waste time getting a Robo Facility and then a Warp Prism from there. Just one pylon, one gateway. That's all the reinforcing that he needs.
Yeah, exactly. So far, the defense is okay here for Jieshi. He does have a shield battery, he does have a cannon as well, but he does also have Blink, as both of them are microing quite well against each other, but it's kind of a numbers game at this point, I feel.
And Force Fields definitely do complicate things a little bit, but with Blink, you know, it mitigates that by quite a lot. Jieshi has the defender's advantage. He popped his battery overcharge early on, and you know, his cannon does take a little bit of damage, but I do agree with what you said, like, when it's Stalker v Stalker like this, and both players are microing about as well as the other, it comes down to the sheer numbers at the end.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Jieshi is doing a great job at holding on here, kind of reducing the amount of DPS that MacSed can really have on his army. You know, a lot of his Stalkers haven't really been fighting. He just hasn't had the best engagement here as MacSed has, I should say. So Jieshi, you know, the longer this goes on, the better it is. +1 just finished up for him. Same for MacSed though.
Yeah. But Jieshi is working on +2, and that is not something on MacSed's mind. He's grabbing the Robo Facility as well, so Immortals will definitely do a ton to defend. MacSed should be getting a Warp Prism, I imagine, so yeah, not going to have that firepower available with him.
Yeah, exactly, and I'm just so impressed with how Jieshi was able to defend here. Again, with half the Stalker count, essentially, and only a single shield battery and a cannon. I mean, now he has more, but yeah, I'm very impressed with him holding on. He only lost 3 probes.
And this entire Nexus has been pretty much completely untouched. He's not distracted too much. He's getting his upgrades on the way. He's going to explode in the gateways.
Yeah, exactly. You could argue maybe MacSed was a little bit too tentative with how he was engaging. Meanwhile, across the map, the Oracle finally dealing some damage. It's been alive since the beginning of the game, and now gets 3 probe kills.
Yeah, not too bad. Not going to be able to get too much more, especially since, you know, it is out of energy. Depths from MacSed. Going to be able to reciprocate, though.
Oh, exactly. Adepts get into the natural base, into the main base as well, gets a full scout of what's going on. Make sure, hey, there's no commitment into Robotech or Robotic Spay or anything like that. I know exactly what you're doing. And what's important as well is that MacSed was able to keep the majority of his Stalkers alive throughout this entire game. So he wasn't able to break this third, but again, still maintains a pretty big army advantage here.
Yeah, and he's doing a sort of soft contain on Jieshi as well. I would like if MacSed, you know, got an expansion behind this, but understandably, he's been focused on just spending his money on units more than anything else. That Oracle is still getting kills. I can't believe it. Finally, it goes down.
Yeah, but you know what?
But right to its very last breath, it was doing damage.
Yeah, 8 probe kills in total for an Oracle. Forces a warp in at home as well. Now MacSed has to wait that much longer to really reinforce his army. Meanwhile, Jieshi just blinks on forward here. Is going to be able to take this engagement. Charge still is not done for MacSed. He needs a couple more seconds.
Yeah, Jieshi can definitely kite these Stalkers, or these Zealots rather, as much as he wants. Warp Prism, however, will get caught in the crossfires.
Oh, that it will. MacSed rotates around. He finally gets up here on the high ground. Shield batteries and cannons not really going to impact this engagement too much here for Jieshi.
Yeah, but we'll see who has the better positioning right now. Jieshi with the massive concave, and all of these Zealots of MacSed not really doing anything, kind of getting body blocked by his own Stalkers. And with this, I mean, I'm looking at the fight right now, and it looks like Jieshi is doing better, but then I look at the supply, and MacSed is actually higher.
I mean, just look at the fight there. Like, every single time they engage, there's like 5 or 6 even Stalkers of MacSed just not really doing anything at all. They're just stuck behind enemy lines because of that concave. Meanwhile, he's going to try and brute force his way forward, and it looks like he may, especially with the reinforcements. Ooh.
Yeah, at the end of the day, MacSed just has way too much. You know, that Warp Prism not being contested at all, nothing to really put the pressure on it. Jieshi also, you know, despite the amazing position he had, again, that was as big of a concave as you could really get in this position. He wasn't fighting with his shield batteries, he wasn't fighting with any of his static defenses, and that just allowed MacSed to, despite the losses that he had, continue to reinforce, continue to replace whatever units he was losing, and keep this fight going.
Yeah, exactly. We were talking about it. Like, the shield batteries, the cannons, there was no overcharge either. It just wasn't really helping out Jieshi, and that is what he needed. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to stop MacSed from getting up this ramp. He was out of position, and because of that, MacSed, he's still able to break through, and he is getting into that mineral line.
And from here, we're at 54 Army Supply versus 17. GG is called. MacSed will take game number 1.
Oh my god. GG, well played. MacSed just brute forcing his way through, but again with a really nice position, just in a way kind of just nullifying the defensive advantage of his opponent there, not really taking into account any of those defensive structures, and yeah, really well played there. Really well played by MacSed.
It really was. I have to wonder if that, you know, ending would have been different if Jieshi did retreat at his natural or his third base, but at the same time, those are choke points that you don't really want to be fighting for. You don't really want to be fighting a stalker battle defensively from, right? You know, it's different if you have disruptors or something like that, but just because of how the game shaped up, neither player was really taking in that direction. They were looking to meet Massbook Stalker with Massbook Stalker, so yeah, I guess I would just have to. Echo what you said over there, like very well decided by MacSed, I would say, to, you know, notice the position that he needed to fight in and just continue to reinforce that until he eventually broke his opponent.
Yeah, I'm honestly pretty impressed, all things considered, because it felt as if Jieshi was kind of getting away with a lot, especially after defending his third in the early game, right? We were like, oh, you know, MacSed invested in all this like army and all this supply, and it wasn't really paying for itself, but eventually it did come into play. Again, it really did matter that he was able to preserve a lot of his units early on, didn't really commit to any big fight, didn't lose anything major, and eventually that all paid off for him.
Yeah. And with that, he takes a pretty comfortable lead in this series.
Oh yeah, he will, and we'll see where that takes us as we are going to be continuing on in this series, diving into game number 2. I do apologize, I did have to restart my client a little bit there. So I'm
all good.
Yeah, I'm on my way back.
Throw this Evite.
Yeah, I'm loading in.
Yeah.
Oh god. But yeah, honestly, a pretty close game 1, all things considered. Like, it didn't feel as if there was kind of any major advantage, or like any major like skill differential between the two players.
Yeah, I was definitely very impressed with Jieshi initially because of how he was able to, because of how it didn't look like he was behind that much when it comes to his tech or his economy, despite going for a different opening. But at the same time, I guess MacSed just kind of recognized what his strength was in that position. You know, the one thing he had going for him, which was his army supply, and he just went across the map and made use of it.
Oh yeah. Oh boy. And we'll see if things will change here in our next game, especially because we are going to be getting into a much smaller map. Oh my god.
Oh, I can't see what the map is, actually. Doesn't show up for me, for whatever reason.
Yeah, it is going to be Berlingrad.
Ah. Oh, right, it's in Roman alphabet at the top left.
Yeah.
I'm so used to just not reading the map name on the Chinese client, you know, at this point. Just, alright, those are, you know what, it's actually just like when I was in elementary school, and whenever, in Mandarin lessons, they were like, all right, what is this word? What does it look like? And I'm like, that's a lot of lines.
They take a step back and realize, oh, these are English letters.
Oh,
Oh god.
it looks like something not very safe for work.
Yeah, I guess a bit of a difference for this season is that we are using the ESL maps, which have been individually uploaded to each server. So yeah, not the ladder maps.
Yeah, and because of that, they weren't exactly localized, or they didn't get a localized translation.
Yes. All of them were uploaded except for two atmospheres, if you remember. That's why that one was the ladder version.
Yeah.
It's fun fact.
It's always the exception. Yeah. Man, I'm gonna miss 2,000 atmospheres. I'm gonna miss Blink-182.
I mean, mate, we can always make new memes for the new map pool, Like, it's
yeah.
Like, say goodbye to some old friends, hello to some new ones.
Turn to a friend.
And I think that's the other big thing to look forward to is, obviously, the new map pool isn't coming into play for the regionals, but for the main event, for Valencia, mate, oh, they're coming out.
Yeah, well, yeah, unconfirmed as to what they are, but you can make a couple of assumptions just based on what has been uploaded. But speaking of assumptions, now is the time to put an end to that as we load into Kaliningrad. We're in the bottom right-hand corner of the map, spawning all the way in the bottom right-hand corner. We have a purple Protoss player coming out from the land of China. He, of course, is going to be representing Dragon Phoenix Gaming, DPG. We have Jieshi.
And spawning in the top left-hand corner of Kaliningrad LE, we have the Chinese Protoss player himself representing Invictus Gaming and leading this series 1-0. It is MacSed.
Hey, you mentioned a little bit earlier about how both of these players are a little bit old school, and by that we mean that they've been in the scene for a very, very long time. But you gotta say that MacSed is much more of an old school player than Jieshi, right? I mean, MacSed, he's the Gen 1 of the Chinese StarCraft 2 scene. Jieshi feels like he's more in between Generation 2 and 3.
Yeah, I was gonna say Gen 3, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Max said, he was here with Tudming, with Top, with Jigua, with Jim. XY, yeah.
I think Jim was a little bit later on, but yeah, Jim regardless. You still imagine. Yeah. He was on Invictus, so.
Exactly, Max said he's one of the OGs. He's been around for a long time, a staple of the scene. Jieshi, much newer to the scene. That's why his announcement of retirement was a surprise to everyone. But just like every kind of retirement in StarCraft, you're never really going.
Yeah, forever. Yeah. Probe.
Don't forget, you're here forever. So yeah, and again, I think a lot of people are excited for Jieshi because he was kind of popping off towards the end of 2020 and then even in 2021, when he was being active, and for him to join a high-profile team like Dragon Phoenix Gaming, I think there's a lot of eyes on him. There's a lot of expectations.
Yeah, I think, if anything, joining a team like Dragon Phoenix Gaming just is a good indication that he's here to stay, at least for a little while. Couple of seasons of World Team League at the very least, and hopefully even longer.
Yeah, fingers crossed, mate. Fingers crossed, and we'll see how far he can go. So far, openers are looking, once again, pretty similar to the previous game. MacSed opening up exactly the same. Jieshi also kind of conforming and also opening up with that double, or following up with the double sentry.
Yeah, despite loading into Kaliningrad, both players are going to take a more defensive stance here. I mean, I can't really blame Jieshi. His Oracle did kind of get shut down, at least at the start of that game. The opening got shut down, They got belly later down the line. These sentries are so exposed. Force field's not going to save you. Well, actually, apparently will.
Oh my god. I don't know if I like this recall. He will save one of his stalkers. And there was a period there where maybe he could have tried to go up the ramp, but I'm sure he was also being baited because there was one more force field available. Didn't get a sentry.
Yeah, in the end, this is a much better trade for MacSed than it was for Jieshi. Just by virtue of not losing anything when he really should have.
Yeah, exactly. And now he's going with the Hallucinated Scout, confirming that this time it wasn't a Stargate opener. This time the natural base of Jieshi is much better timed here, or in a much more, again, reasonable time, I should say. Even confirms that the Forge is on the way, so knows the commitment into a gateway army.
And I'm curious to see how MacSed will respond from here. Obviously, in the previous game, he was always planning on going for a pretty sizable stalker army. This time, though, he scouts a lot earlier, so he has a little bit more room to react.
Exactly, and I wonder what his reaction is going to be here, because obviously the clearest thing that we can all see is the fact that Jieshi will have a massive upgrade advantage. You know, +1 is on the way. His stalkers will straight up be better, superior than his opponents. There are ways to make up for this as his opponent, of course. We can go into Immortals, we can go into, I guess, more gateways and just outnumber your opponent. But you know, MacSed has to just be careful about how he approaches.
Yeah, and for now, he's just going to throw on the third, which Jieshi will do the exact same. Again, looking at Jeshi's production, I favor him slightly just because he is getting the upgrades quicker, but you know, MacSed isn't building a larger army for nothing, right? There's a pretty massive window of opportunity where Jieshi is in the middle of his transition, and MacSed will be able to punish that.
Yeah, you know, he's going to be moving out across the map. He does have the Stalker advantage so far, but we do have a Sentry here, so maybe some Force Fields can come into play. Shield Batteries on the way as well here, but MacSed is looking to hit before that finishes up.
Yeah, nice snipe on the Sentry. This makes things a little bit easier for him, but, well, at least as easy as it can be, pushing into a location like this. Liking the target firing coming out from MacSed, it's much better than the target firing of Jieshi, but in the end, the defender's advantage is going to be enough for MacSed to pull away.
Yeah, exactly. At the same time, Dual Depths do shade into the main base as well. Going to be picking off a couple of probes, so MacSed just coming out on top here in these trades. Again, what's important is that this does all happen before +1 finishes.
Yeah, just whatever he can do while he can do it. It's kind of the motto going on there. And so MacSed will have a pretty decent worker lead for now. Well, actually, Jieshi has already caught back up.
yeah, he was able to catch back up. I think what I wanted to add is the fact that I do like that MacSed threw down a faster Robo back at home. The Robo does signify that he wants to go into Immortals, and again, that's the way that he's going to catch up. What I'm a little bit afraid of is that Immortals are good. Can they make up for a double upgrade disadvantage? Because Jieshi is already working on +2.
Yeah, and the Forge is nowhere to be seen right now for MacSed. That's a pretty big concern, I gotta tell you, Light. I mean, I don't think the Immortals alone are gonna be enough to make up for the upgrade deficit, right? But Immortals plus a higher stalker count, plus charge slots, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. That's the thing. We do have Jieshi all sneaking around. He's able to bypass the main army of MacSed. They do miss each other, and Jieshi, he hits the natural.
Power of Berlingrad. MacSed not going to turn around. Instead, he's going to try to initiate a base trade. He does have the better army for now, and we'll see if Jieshi decides to recall from here.
Yeah, exactly. Jieshi is going to try and evacuate his third base, but it's going to lose a lot of workers in the process. At the same time across the map, Jieshi also gets into the main base of MacSed.
Yeah, looking to... Well, I thought he might look to depower these structures, but he's going for the probes, which is probably the better option right now. You know, cripple the economy before crippling the production capability.
Yeah, exactly, as we're kind of undergoing this base trade. Of course, at any moment, Jieshi could try recalling. Oh my god.
That Immortal came out in the exact wrong location, and then on top of that, got force fielded away from the ramp. Things are just going from bad to worse right now for Jieshi. MacSed still bleeding back at home, but this is hurting Jieshi a lot more than it's hurting MacSed.
Yeah, exactly. You were talking about it before. Just MacSed, his army is that much more superior. It's so much stronger. Right now, he's being held up here with all these force fields, but eventually the force fields are running out, and MacSed is breaking into the main base.
Yeah, these charge slots. Kind of funny to witness as they are being held back by the force fields, like you say, but sentries are out of energy. These choke points can only do so much. when your opponent's at about double the army supply.
Exactly. Across the map, Jieshi, he does... Oh, he actually goes for the recall. He wants to go to the fight. He wants to take the fight,
He's
Yaku.
gonna recall on top of all of this. I'm not sure if that's the right call to make whatsoever. The chargelets will get on top of a lot of these stalkers, but I mean, Jieshi can kite, maybe?
No, the SimCity's working against him, Yaku. He can't kite away. The gateway wall is keeping him in. The Immortal is going to town on all of these stalkers, and we have more Zealot reinforcements coming in as well. Jieshi will lose the fight, will lose his main base, and MacSed still has a full base mining.
GG is called, and